Every year, the common cold drains billions of dollars from the global economy. It is the most frequent acute respiratory infection on Earth, driving endless sick days, lost productivity, and general misery. We have entirely wiped out smallpox. We developed highly effective vaccines for diseases like polio. Yet, despite centuries of medical advancements, we are completely incapable of curing a basic sniffle. In 1914, German bacteriologist Dr. Walther Kruse took nasal secretions from an infected assistant, diluted them, and passed the fluid through a physical filter designed to trap all known bacteria. When he administered that filtered liquid to healthy colleagues, they still got sick. Kruse proved that the cold was not a standard bacterial infection. The cause was actually something much smaller, a microscopic ghost. Fighting it would require an entirely new approach to medical science. By the 1930s, researchers attempting to study this elusive virus faced a massive logistical hurdle. They relied entirely on chimpanzees, some of the only animals that exhibited human-like cold symptoms. But housing and caring for primates was incredibly expensive, particularly during the Great Depression. Scientists soon realized that recruiting large groups of human volunteers was surprisingly a much cheaper and more efficient way to run their tests. That grim economic reality launched one of the most highly organized human experiments in medical history. In 1946, the British Medical Research Council established the Common Cold Unit inside a repurposed World War II emergency military hospital in Salisbury. To supply a steady stream of test subjects, the unit placed advertisements in newspapers, pitching a 10-day stay at the medical facility as a cheap, unusual holiday for the public. Volunteers from across the UK would take the train down to Salisbury, where they were picked up at the station and driven directly to the secure facility. Once inside, subjects were placed in small, repurposed flats under strict isolation rules. They had to maintain a 30-foot distance from other groups. During daily checkups, the medical staff, known as matrons, wore full protective gear and masks to prevent any cross-contamination. The Common Cold Unit essentially turned civilians into a highly controlled biological testing apparatus, creating a massive, perfectly isolated data-gathering machine. Over 4 decades, the unit infected thousands of volunteers with viral preparations and published over 1,000 scientific papers. They even managed a massive accidental discovery. In 1965, while testing a nasal wash from a sick schoolboy, researchers at the unit isolated the very first human coronavirus. Yet in 1989, the facility quietly closed its doors. They never found a cure or developed a functional vaccine for the cold. How did 40 years of perfectly executed human isolation trials fail to neutralize a virus that causes a minor sniffle? The problem is that the common cold is a catch-all term. Most colds are caused by rhinoviruses, and there isn't just one. There are at least 160 distinct, shape-shifting strains. A traditional vaccine trains your immune system to recognize the outside shell of a virus, but the outer shell of a rhinovirus is hypervariable. It constantly mutates and swaps out its surface proteins, presenting your immune system with 160 ever-shifting targets. There are parts of the virus that do not mutate, stable structural components, like a protein called VP4. If a vaccine could target VP4, it could neutralize all 160 strains. But the virus keeps these vital components physically buried deep inside its outer armor. That armor only opens through a process called capsid breathing. As the virus moves, its shell physically expands and contracts, exposing those hidden, stable proteins to the outside world for only a fraction of a second. The rhinovirus has evolved a molecular fortress. It perfectly shields its only structural weakness from our immune system, keeping us completely locked out. Even with modern science, we struggle to break through. Researchers recently tried a brute force approach, injecting macaques with a massive multivalent vaccine, a single dose packed with 50 different rhinovirus strains at the exact same time. This document lists the current consensus on rhinovirus vaccine development. It shows that even overwhelming the immune system with 50 strains at once still fails to provide broad cross-serotype protection against the other 110 strains. Raw technological power is entirely useless against a pathogen that wears impenetrable armor while rapidly shifting through 160 different identities. While the scientists at the Common Cold Unit never found their cure, their 40 years of isolated human trials were highly productive. They decoded the life cycles of respiratory viruses and mapped the baseline data for immune responses and interferons, the proteins our cells use to signal a viral attack. Our inability to defeat the common cold yielded immense value. By studying an unbeatable enemy, researchers built the scientific playbook we rely on today to fight nearly every other respiratory virus on Earth.